on and going on.
Well, like Ted from Holland says, life is a form God created to confront himself, just as we humans are also trying to do this now.
I'm not, that's too heady for this old one. I'm not sure if I grasp it. He might be right. Beats me. I just can't grasp it.
Yeah.
A little over this guy's head. I'm no rocket scientist or great philosopher.
Yeah.
But he might be right.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah.
Well, we'll all know in time.
Well, we die, we live, we die, we live. You call it Nagual, but apparently we must be part of that Nagual somehow. To me, I'm thinking, I thought a lot about what you said about this Nagual thing, and I can understand the Nagual using the body, for experiencing and things like that. But the more I've thought of Nagual, the more I've realized that we are the Nagual. And we, as the Nagual, are using the body.
So in that sense, yes, we
and
are.
Because we are using this body for, and that quote Nagual belong, wherever, when we leave this body, okay, us, when we leave this body, we as Naguals go on to find another body, for more learning experiences. And that's why we retain, and that's why we retain the memories. Because
here you got a guy and a gal all in the same body, and I say that we got Father, Mother, Holy Spirit, and Holy Ghost, 3 in 1. And let us make man in our image, 3 in 1. We have 3 individual personalities in one, and the personalities are totally separate and yet all one.
Yeah, we had a show on that last night, the Law of One, where every thought is part of the one.
It is. That's true. All lots for that.
And each one could be looked at as like an individual is like a bubble, that carries all this information. But the bubble, floats around and meets another bubble and shares information. But it doesn't make any difference. But it's just that everyone has, everybody has a term for the same thing. Basically, I find that in my research work when they're referring to various gods, and it's just and the superheroes of the history, when 10 names for one person, but to me, I know that I'm sitting here in this body, I'm feeling my emotions, I have my thoughts and stuff like that, and I know I go on. Now, if you want to call that a Nagual, then my Nagual goes on.
You're right. I call that you, the soul. I call the body, the tonal, just a conveyance for the soul and the Nagual to move around in. The Nagual's duty is to try to get the soul to keep the body in a godly way, in a godly manner.
But you say the soul only has one time around, though.
That's right. That's what I say, and I'll stick with it.
Yeah. But I don't know. I just feel that I just feel that all my lives, that I've had before are accumulation of this. To this life right now is the accumulation of all my other lives, where I was to gain knowledge for what I'm to become later on, as all of the listeners are too. I can't see using, I know that, the Holy Scriptures would like for us to all think that we got that one time around and then we're just dust, but I just have a hard time accepting that right now.
Well, first off, I've never said that. We got one time, the soul has one time this time. All the accumulation that you're speaking of, and my gosh, I've been shown past lives, many past lives, well, maybe 5 or 9, and it's still not me, it's not my soul, it was that person's soul, but the Nagual that's in me, the Nagual's car at that time. It is the Nagual that accumulates.
Well, that's a possession, and the Nagual is possessing me, and I just no. I understand what you're saying, kinda, and I think that actually, when it really comes down to the essence of the entire thing, probably isn't going to make any difference if we call it Nagual or if we call it a soul or whatever we want to call it. If we want to call it a tomato, but I can't believe that my body was only born for one reason, for some sort of something to come into it and to use it, to possess it, to feed off of like a parasite, and then,
Boy, you got it, Mary, you got it all twisted, honey.
Yeah.
It does not possess you. You're born with it. You're 3 in 1. You're triplets. And when you comb your hair, you're combing your soul's hair. You're combing your Nagual's hair. And it's like those born man-woman, and one dominates, but you're still man-woman you're talking about. It's the same thing, only 3 instead of 1. And it's not allowed to dominate, to possess.
Well, what's it doing in my body then?
God has given us will. The individual soul has will.
Well, I wonder if my individual soul says, I don't want no Nagual coming into my body to use it.
You got no choice. It's there.
Well, then that's not free will.
No. Hang on. God gives you free will and gives the Nagual 2 orders. 1, never can a Nagual go against your will. That's 1. If it was dominance, it can go against it anytime it wants. But
you're not hearing what I'm saying. If I had free will, and I chose, my free will says I don't want a Nagual in my body, using my body as its vehicle, then by right,
let's place it a little more logical.
It's kind of like you got free will, but
you can suppress it until it goes.
but you hear what I'm saying? You got free will, but we're going to let other people use that body besides you, or something else.
No. You're. Boy, I don't understand you, Mary. Hear me.
I want to know.
All right, listen. Well, then shut up and
okay.
listen. All right, good girl. The Nagual is not allowed to go against your will. That is one of the greatest gifts God has given mankind. Free will. The choice to do what you want. Not what the Nagual hopes for, but what you want. And it is not allowed to kill you. It is allowed to bring you right to the edge of death. If you want to accept the death, that's your business. But that's it. Those are its orders. It cannot go against those orders. Therefore, if you're possessed by a demon, I'll guarantee you, that demon is going to do its will, not your will.
But who is this Nagual thing that is in my body that can take me almost to death but can't kill me? Who is it? What is it?
This Nagual is an angel that you are born with. All are born with the inborn knowledge, the Nagual, that there is a God and one God. And all its job, all it's trying to do is, and through all the other cars, the tonal souls that it's tried to help in the past, all accumulating up to getting better to get into the next car and be a far better driver. And trying to nudge you and guide you. Again, the Nagual cannot speak to you. You receive Nagual information through gut feelings, through dreams and visions. But you don't, that's all. It just gives you that. If you want to go against your gut feeling, don't go across.
Well, now Ted kind of says it the same way as you, except he uses the soul. Okay, he says the soul does not have free will. It's always directed to God. The personality related with the higher self has got a free will connected with this earth. So got it. But so in other words, we already, as far as soul is concerned, what I'm getting at in the long run, going back to Red Elk's story about the Borgs in the future, okay, to make a long story short, what I'm saying is our souls already are Borgs. Because our souls are an accumulation of one with no free will, is directed and controlled by one source, and that is a Borg.
Well, I'm going to have to take it. I'm sorry. First off, there isn't anyone but you, anyone but me, anyone but the individual. Just one. Everything else is just holograms. Your play that you're acting out, that you brought into being, you create this stuff, and you can uncreate it. I'm speaking from fact. If I can walk into the room, and you don't even have an inkling that I'm there, I know how to do that, and I teach that, how to disappear.
Yeah.
And it's simply convincing in me that you don't exist. Your dream world, your dream stuff. And when I'm convinced in me, and I do this, that that's a fact, then I have no problem moving all around the room, and you have no idea.
So what makes us any different then? I mean, everybody started, in the beginning of the show was fearing this Borg-like world of the future, where basically all we are is kind of like hooked up to a machine and into this dream world. What makes the difference? What is so different between this world now and that future world, except we are being presented, an illusion that we're having a wonderful life and have free will?
Well, way up then ahead, hon, you're given that illusion, but deep down you know that there's a God, and you know that you're not free. You are being controlled by men.
Exactly. By who?
Men, humans.
How? But government. They don't exist.
Who in the hell told you that?
You did. You says I only exist,
well,
and these are an illusion of my thought.
I'm the only one that is in existence, and yet I'm talking to you, and vice versa. As I've explained it before, you're my hologram. I'm your hologram. And the only reason that...
And we are the hologram of one, of the creating mind.
Well, in the long run, yeah, that's true. But,
thus no free will except what that creating mind is dreaming up at that time.
But he says ye are as gods, little g. And he also says thoughts are real. Your thoughts are real.
But my thoughts don't. Okay, so whose thought counts? Your thought, my count, Ted's thought, Esoterica's thought, Tim's thought. Whose thought? Who is the one? Because you're saying one person's one reality.
You're thinking your actors and actresses and events into being. You're the playwright. You're the writer. You're the director.
Well, am I or are you?
Well, in your case you are. In my case I am. I'm here.
But you see what I'm saying? That's an illusion.
There's knowledge.
But that is an illusion.
It is an illusion, yes. But I'm trying to make you aware of it. You can unillusion everything that you call reality. I'm here to tell people that they can undo what they think is to be. I'm trying to wake people up. Christ tried to wake people up.
But waking them, but I mean, this thing about future world events and all this stuff is a dream state that we're all in.
Yes, and it will end.
But it never. But how can something end when it isn't even real?
Honey, by end, I mean you will end up in heaven or the true heaven or the true hell. You have the choice now as a soul.
But, okay, and based on our thoughts of what hell is what we create.
That's right.
So our hell could be lollipops and gumdrops.
What could be that?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry.
I said our hell, if we just so choose, could be lollipops and gumdrops because we create that hell.
That's right. It could be. Can you scoff off all your life's teaching of what hell's like? If you can, welcome to La La Land and lollipops.
Yeah, well,
if you can.
Well, but isn't that what we're in? Is La La Land?
Yeah, we are.
Oh.
And it's
See, this. I know it's